What's up, Sussex? Welcome to another episode of I Am Sussex. My guest today is the one and only Michael Dickinson.
What's up, man? How are you?
Did I say that right?
You said it right. And people have been mispronouncing it my entire life, so I respond to everything.
El Presidente, the president of SoDel Concepts. What's going on, Mike?
Not much, man. It's a beautiful day. It's any day you're in Sussex County, it's a great day to be alive. I mean, living and working this close to the beach, raising a family this close to the beach, it doesn't get any better.
That's right. Hey, let's jump right into it, man.
Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge, on February the 17th, the Cape Gazette did a phenomenal write-up on you called Company Culture is Important to Mike Dickinson. Man, if you guys need to go read that article, phenomenal, because it really dives in. It got me pumped up. Talked about Mike. Matt Haley talked about all the great things you guys are doing. So, first question, you could have been everywhere, especially now that I know your background. You could have been anywhere in the world. Why Sussex?
I think the better question is, why not Sussex? You know what I mean?
I like that.
So I grew up in the mountains of Pennsylvania, like Delaware Water Gap, and it's a beautiful place to be, but I never really felt connected there. My dad's family in the 40s and 50s developed a lot of property in town Bethany. So his grandfather and his uncle bought a cottage, would fix it up, bought the cottage next door, would fix that up. When the second one was done, they would move out of the first one into the second one, rent the first one. And they did that through like 2.5 blocks in Bethany in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So my dad spent his summers down here growing up. My dad was born in 1948, would spend his summers growing up down here, sold donuts on the boardwalk, helped his grandfather and his uncle, dabbled as a lifeguard, did all sorts of stuff like that. So my entire life, the beach has always represented for me like this place where we went it was always summers. It was like when school was done, when the grind was done, this is where we came to decompress. And this was always like, I don't want to say our happy place, but like this is all my fondest memories as a child growing up are all in Sussex County, in Rehoboth, in Lewis, in Bethany Beach. So when the choice came for me to kind of decide what I wanted to do after college, I was going to take a year off, come down here, kind of recollect myself, and then I was going to go to medical school. Interesting, when I came down here, the first community and the first group of people that really embraced me was a group of kids that I worked with from Seaford. So, I mean, I lived outside of Bethany, but I was really embraced by, and my first exposure to the people from the western part of Sussex County were these group of kids that I worked with, and I was like, you know, I thought it was going to be a year. I didn't expect to really put down any firm roots or anything like that. But, like, they're amazing people, you know. Yeah. They didn't know me from Adam, and they were like, yeah, come back and hang out with us. Took me to Pizza King, like, dragging me all over Seaford. And I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, I mean, these people are amazing people. They're open, they're honest, and they're just, like, they don't want anything from me. They just wanted to be friends with me and wanted to show me how great a place this was. So as I kind of decided I was not going to go back to school, not go back to medical school, I really got into restaurants, and I really wanted to build my career in restaurants. My one hesitation was, and we're talking like 99, 2000, my biggest hesitation was the fact that, you know, looking forward to raising a family, at that point in time, there wasn't a ton of culture down here. I grew up an hour and a half outside of New York City, so like Pennsylvania, just over the Jersey line, 5 minutes from Jersey. So we would go on field trips into New York City all the time. You know, I've seen 25 shows on Broadway.
I grew up the same way.
Yeah, been in museums and everything like that. So like, I needed part of what I wanted for my family when I was raising them, the family that I had in my mind. I didn't have my kids are young. My kids are 6 and 8. So like this family that I had in my mind, I was like, I need there to be enough culture and enough experiential stuff around here that they can have the same experience that I did. So you look at all the amazing things that, like, specifically what Freeman has done, building the Freeman stage, bringing people in. You know, you have organizations like Clear Space, the Milton Theater. Amazing organizations like that they've recognized this gap that existed. So when you put all that together, you know, you put the hospitality and the warmth and the welcome that I was shown early on by the people in Western Sussex. You look at the people, the business innovators that have brought culture, that have brought all this to the eastern part of Sussex County. And then you just look at like the natural beauty of where we live. I mean, this is the most beautiful place in the world as far as I'm concerned. I live in town Lewis, and every single morning I drive through the Cape Henlopen State Park, and I drive through and I wind up where I wind up, and I'm like, how lucky am I to be able to do this every single day? Like, I'm blessed beyond belief. For my kids to be able to go to school. My kids go to Lewis Elementary. They're going to go to the Lewis Middle School. They're going to go to Cape Henlopen. It's for them to be able to have their entire scholastic career, in the thick of this, in the middle of all this. Like, that, as parents, that's what you strive for. You strive to put your kids in a better spot than you were in. And I was in a great spot when I was little, but like, when I pictured my life, I always pictured my life here at the beach and being able for my kids to do this. And now to be able for it to be a reality it's a really special thing. But now the thing for me is I need to engender that appreciation and that understanding of how blessed and gifted my children are, so that then they can continue to put that back out into the world, kind of take what they've gotten and then reciprocate it back out and keep it going.
And that leads me to who you are, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to your children, George and Olivia, man. But who are you?
So I'm a very interesting study of a human being, I guess you would say. I'm the son of two public school educators. My parents both taught English. My dad taught in the same classroom for 42 years. My mom taught public school for 31 years. She took off 11 years to have and raise my brother and I. So that like creativity, that romantic side, that expressive side was kind of not, I don't want to say thrust on me, but it was always present, always part of what I did and how I was growing up. For some reason, the way that my brain evolved, I evolved into a very binary and a very analytical person. Like, science appeals to me, math appeals to me. I absolutely love the arts. I was an all-state musician when I was in high school. I was in band, I was in choir, I was in all that stuff. But science always fit with my brain. Math always fit with my brain. So I went to college I went to University of Pittsburgh for a year. I was in the School of Biomedical Engineering. I didn't really dig the bench research. What I found was that I was more of a people person. I never wanted my career to be sitting in a lab coat, in front of a desk, pipetting stuff into beakers and running trials, that kind of stuff. And I went to school with a lot of kids that loved that, but it just wasn't for me. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So while I was doing my undergraduate work, while they were doing work in labs in the summer, I was like, I'm going to the beach, man. Like, I'm going to live at the beach. I'm going to wait tables. I'm going to surf. I'm going to work out. I'm going to hang out. And I'm just going to I'm going to take this time to soak in all these experiences with all these people, because I have the rest of my life to be in a classroom, to be learning all that kind of stuff. And what I found happen was that, I just decided that I wanted to be down here and I wanted to be in the restaurant business. So, I mean, from your experience with the Latino community, the restaurant business is a hard business, man. It chews people up and spits people out every single day. So luckily I've found a bunch of mentors along the way that have given me the operational knowledge, but also the knowledge of how to grow and how to live your life and have a good work-life balance within the restaurant business. And then, there's all there's all sorts of little correlators that have popped off because of that. So because I've been blessed to work with mentors that understand work-life balance, they've encouraged me to go out and explore new avenues. So I've been able to give back on charitable boards, organizations, that kind of stuff, volunteer my time wherever I can. And I've also, at 43, I've developed an athletic career that,
right. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, no, I know. So I've been an athlete my entire life. I played football and soccer when I was in high school. I was an All-American football player when I was in high school. I played football in college. Played a year at Division I level, played the last 3 years of my career at Division III level. So I've always been a part of organized athletics, but you go through that, you go through a college athletic career and you get out and you're like, I need to not have that structure. I just need to do my own thing. But slowly over time, that competition, the competitiveness never goes away. So the guy that I work with, and Jacob Lattimore said really, really well, he was like,
bad boy.
He is a bad boy, man. He's 25, 26, 27, but he's an old soul. If you've ever met an old soul, he's an old soul. So
he eats and breathes this
Oh
thing,
my God, he's amazing. Yeah. But so he's like, listen, I think you got a shot at breaking some of these records, state powerlifting records. I was like, whatever. I'm not going to mess with that. But slowly, surely at age 42, 43, I developed, I've embarked on a powerlifting career. So that's kind of been interesting.
Well,
so
you just had a competition.
I did. I just had a competition. I had a competition at the end of February. So, but to get back to who I am as a person, I don't think that you can I don't think that you can define that in one word or one sentence in one term. Or if you're going to, I think it would be an evolving work in progress. And I think that we're all works in progress at some point, you know. But I think that having the self-awareness to understand that you're a work in progress and accept everything that comes to you, good, bad, otherwise, some stuff that comes is going to be constructive and is going to break you down and then build you back up. And then other stuff that comes into your life is just going to be great and supportive. It's going to be like the world is wrapping its arms around you and giving you a big fat hug and just like lifting you up. So like understanding all that and embracing everything that comes your way. That's really, and if I do that as a parent, if I do that as a business leader, if I do that as somebody who's part of a gym community, if I do that as somebody who's part of a volunteer community, that's all great and that's all amazing. But understanding that like that you have to have that self-awareness and you have to have that openness so that you can always be aware of what's coming in and wrap around it and embrace it.
I love that. And this makes me think about this, makes me really curious, right? It's obvious that, you know, you've done some work, well healed. And as a leader, I see you guys talk about culture a lot. How do you take those experiences, those desires to help, and embed that into the culture and helping those that are there to serve alongside you?
Well, so I think that there's two philosophies in business that I've come across. Some people think that it's a cutthroat competition and you have to eliminate all your competition to be successful, to come out on top of the pile. I tend to believe in my life that happiness, love, and success is not zero sum, that there's an infinite amount of all those things that exist in the world. So the more people that we can take in, that we can wrap around, that we can elevate their career, that we can make successful, that we can help be better at what they do and whatever they want to do, the better off it makes us. So, and that looks a bunch of different ways. Sometimes that's just taking somebody and giving them their first job and pushing them up that way. Or sometimes it's taking somebody who's a server and who wants to have a career in restaurants and giving them a pathway and giving them a career. You know, they say, you know, I'm making $15 an hour. I'm 27 years old. I want to start to settle down. I want to have a life. I want to raise a family. I want to put down roots. How can you help me do that? All right. Well, here's this very clearly defined path laid out for you, and I'm going to take you from making $15, $18 an hour. We're going to put you on a management track. We're going to get you making $55,000, $60,000, $65,000 a year. We'll give you health insurance. We'll give you 401k. We'll give you paid time off. We'll give you, we'll give you on-the-job training. We'll give you professional development opportunities. We'll give you all that stuff. And doing all those things is what helps us grow, and understanding that there's no finite amount to any of that stuff. Like, there doesn't come a point where you're like, you know what, we've helped enough people, we've pulled enough people through, we've given enough people jobs. Like, that's not a thing. There's always more people that you can help. There's always more that you can do to help the world out around you. And like we exist, SoDel Concepts and our restaurants exist as part of this community. So we try to be very conscious about how what we do plays into the dialogue of that community. We always want to make sure that when we're opening a restaurant, when we're building a new restaurant, that we're contributing to what's going on in the community. So like, you look at when we purchased the Cottage Cafe in November. Cottage Cafe has been an institution in Sussex County since the mid '90s. I remember when I was living in Bethany in the late '90s, early 2000s. They were open till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I would get off work at 11:30 at night, and that's where I would go, and I would sit and I would get crab cake sandwich, and I would get dune fries, and then, you know, I didn't feel like cooking at home by myself. I would go there and I would sit and I would eat, and then I would go home. And like, you know, when those guys decided that they were going to retire, they were going to, you know, move into the next phase of their life, they came to us and they were like, you know, we know that you guys will keep going what we started, and we also know that you'll be able to give employees additional opportunity above and beyond what we could have. So like, having a company of 3,000 people, we can afford them opportunities to move and go work other places, to kind of grow in a management trajectory if they wanted to. You know, we give, when you're with us for more than a year, you get accessibility to paid time off, you get accessibility to 401k, you get accessibility to healthcare, and giving people those social safety nets is extremely, extremely important to us, because the more stable and the better the lives of the employees, the better the people that we work with,
right.
the better their lives are. Right. Honestly, the better they make the restaurants, and the more of a cornerstone of the community the restaurants become. And that's really all it's about, is opportunities, jobs, and contributing to the community. That is really
Say that one more time.
For us, all it's about is opportunities, jobs, and contributing to the community. That's what it's all about. So as we build more Surf Bagels, we're opening Surf Bagel Long Neck in June of 2023. That's about serving that element in the community, saying, I can't, in the summertime, I can't get from Millsboro out to Lewis or Midway, but we love Surf Bagel. Great, we're going to bring it out there. And you know what? There's a huge segment of the population out there that can't get from Georgetown, Millsboro to the beach, to Lewis, to Rehoboth, to Dewey to work. So we're going to bring some jobs closer out to them so that we can bring them into our workforce and they can be part of what we're trying to do.
And as I know so many people that work for you, I hear that. I hear the culture part. Right? Nobody's perfect. I hear the consistency, and that's why that article, once again, that the Cape wrote on you was so powerful, man. Talk to me about the CARE Foundation.
So SoDel Cares is basically the second iteration of the foundation that Matt Haley started when he was living. Matt passed in August of 2014, and it's crazy to think that this summer it's going to be 9 years that he's gone. I've been with the company 18 years, and it's crazy to think that half the time I've been with SoDel has been since Matt's passing. I still remember the day that I stole Matt's phone number out of one of my friend's phones when we were out to dinner one night. He went to the bathroom, and I'd seen an article about Matt, and I was like, I think I want to work with this guy. So I rifled through my friend's phone, stole Matt's number, and cold called Matt. I was like, you don't know me. I said, but I want to come work with you. He's like, who are you? I'm like, that doesn't matter. So, I remember meeting him Friday, Memorial Day weekend in 2005 at Books and Coffee in Dewey, and just starting a conversation that way and just being completely enamored and enthralled with who he was and how he chose to live his life. He was a convicted felon, did 4 years when he was in D.C., lived a sober life. From the time he was arrested until the time he passed, he was sober. He had 24 years clean and sober when he passed away. And because of the second chance that he was given, he always sought to give people second chances, and I know that you had a bunch of experiences with him on the board at La Esperanza, but what we've done with SoDel Cares is the amazing thing about Matt was that he was $1 here, $1 there. And when I say $1 here, I mean $1 in Sussex County, $1 in Delaware, and then $1 there. He had substantial roots in Asia. He had 3 daughters that he had adopted in Nepal, and he spent time in India, and he spent a little bit of time in where else? One other country he spent time in. So he divided his time and he divided his resource. When he passed, we focused on building the basis of the company here as a Sussex County company to serve Sussex County and to serve Delaware. So what we did is we developed SoDel Cares, and we said we're going to keep it all here, and we're going to serve children, we're going to serve at-risk youth, and we're going to serve the elderly. And that's, if you look at what we've done, and you can go to sodelcares.com and you can look at the groups that we've donated to. I mean, we donate to DAPI, we donate to La Esperanza, we donate to the Sussex County YMCA, we donate to Pathways to Success. We're very, very much focused. We donate to Meals on Wheels, Lewis, Rehoboth. We're very, very focused on those core demographics and supporting those people that don't otherwise have the support.
Yeah, and 2 things. And this has been the mission from the beginning. I remember Matt and I used to dress up as the 3 Kings, to give our kids during the 3 Kings Day.
Yeah.
And also him and Dr. Johnny used to do these workshops at Fish On.
Yeah, yeah.
And also you just mentioned Meals on Wheels. You guys also play a part in that.
Yeah, we do. So right after Matt passed, I was working in one of the restaurants, and John Wolfley, who's been a longtime friend and who was on the board of Meals on Wheels at the time, came in and was like, we're the place that's doing it now doesn't want to do it anymore. I'm jammed up. I need help. So, in our organization, when you say I need help, that's like the triggering event. Once somebody says they need help, then kind of like we're obligated. All right, you need help. Let me take a look at it. Let me see. And, we had the space, we had the opportunity. We had in the restaurant business, you get to a certain point and you have to make a decision. Like, a lot of times we work in this business from the time we're young until we hit some people age out at like 28, 29, 30, but some of them age out because they want to have families and they don't see a path to having a family. So you look at an opportunity like Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels is Monday through Friday, 6:30 in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That opens up a different work day and enables you to give different people different opportunities. Okay. So we had the facility at Fish On. Fish On has a huge back prep kitchen, an area where it's conducive to the driver pickup and everything like that. We had the people that wanted to go and work that day part. And we had the willingness. So we said, you know what, you need help, we're going to help you out. And as you know, that was 2015. So we've been doing it for 8 years now. And every year that we've gone and done it, we've added more and more and more seniors to the route. So one of my favorite things to do is go out and ride with the drivers and make their deliveries with them. Obviously I couldn't do it during 2021, 22 because of COVID, but like to get out there and to see the connection that, because for some of the homebound seniors, the only interaction they have in any given day is the interaction that they have with our Meals on Wheels drivers. So to be able to, make sure that we're providing a product that fits what they need nutritionally, tastes good, and make sure that the drivers are happy and proud delivering it, like that's a huge thing. That's a big deal.
Talk to me about, and I'm hearing it as you talk. I hear this growth and opportunity. That's another thing that was pointed out during the write-up on you. Talk to me about that growth and why is that so important?
Well, I think it's important because if you don't grow, you stagnate and you die. So as a company that's been here for the better part of 20 years, and we have the intention of being here for as many generations as possible, you need to create a pipeline of growth and opportunity for the people that you're working with so that they don't seek the opportunity elsewhere. If all of a sudden people that are, if our opportunity pipeline dries up and freezes and we say there's no more chance for you to grow your job with us, there's no more chance for you to grow your career, I'm sorry that you want to be a manager, but you're just not going to do it with us. You got to go somewhere else and do it. If that dries up, two things happen. One, we stop losing those great people, and B, we lose the ability to grow and continue to serve the community. And, like what I said before, it's opportunities, it's jobs, and it's serving the community. So we create that upward mobility, we create that growth, we give that path so that we can keep that pipeline going. And there's people that transition into different roles with us. Like if you look across the landscape of our office, as we've grown our company, what we've done is we've taken people that were restaurant people, servers, bartenders, line cooks, and we've taken them from the restaurant setting into an administrative setting. So our controller was a server under me as a general manager. Our head of HR was my assistant manager when I was a GM at Fish On. Her assistant was a bartender at Blue Coast Bethany. Everybody who works in the accounting office has been servers. Almost everybody who works on the marketing side has worked in the restaurants. So you get a double benefit of that. You get this pipeline. You give people this upward mobility. You work with them to let them shift their life, shift their focus, shift their career. But now the nice part is that every single person who's working in your office speaks the same language.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like you all are restaurant people, so you all know what it means. Like when you're 86 something, you all know what it means to be in the weeds. Like you understand all that stuff. So you're speaking the same language. So it's so much easier to get stuff done because you're like, hey, I need this, and this because of this, and this. Great. I know exactly what you're saying. I'll get it done.
As you talk, man, I almost got lost because I focus on myself and what we've done with our tribe, where those that have been with us since the beginning, we know what it is to be a renter.
Yeah.
We know what it is to become a first-time home buyer, and then we know what it is to become an investor. So we are able to work with all facets of individuals either buying or selling, man. Yeah. So it's so important to understand.
Yeah, but it also gives you credibility, it gives you weight, and it gives you gravitas when you're going out and talking to people. Okay. So you onboard a brand new agent, and you're like, listen, you need to do it, boom, you need to do this, and this because of this, and this. And they're like, whoa, you don't know what you're talking about. You're like, listen, man, I've been doing this. I was doing this when you were in diapers. That's so right. Like, I know what I'm doing. That's right. Like, and it's the same thing with us, and it's the same thing with us in our organization. Like, I've been through it all. I've done it all. I've worked every single day for 65 straight days. I've come to work at 7 o'clock in the morning and left at 4 o'clock in the morning. I've opened restaurants, I've closed restaurants, I've sold restaurants, I've bought restaurants. Like we've done it all. I've hired people. I've not begrudgingly had to let people go. It's part of the business life cycle. I've trained people. I've written wine lists. I've helped write menus. I've washed dishes. I've bussed tables. I've made drinks. I've run service bar. Like, we've done it all and we've lived it all, and we continue to do it because we love it. Like, I love the restaurant business. I love everything about it. And I think that sometimes it's difficult for me in the position that I'm in now as a president of a company with 3,000 people. Like, I got into this business because I love the hustle, I love the bustle, I love the pace, I love the people, I love the interaction, but I love SoDel Concepts. I love the company, and I love what the company does for the community. So as what the company needs from you changes, you either answer the call to service or you don't. So I said, you know what? I love this business and I love this company, and this company needs me to do this right now, so I'm answering the call to service. Yeah, I'm saying, you know what? I will do it, and I will put everything I have into it, and I will do the absolute best job that I can, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I will always make the right decision for the right reason. The outcome might not be the correct outcome, but as a company, we are always striving to make the right decision for the right reason. Sometimes the right decision is promoting somebody. Sometimes the right decision is letting somebody go. Sometimes it's taking care of a dinner. Sometimes it's asking a guest, you know, you haven't been nice to the staff, and we're siding with the staff on this one. Maybe you take a little break and don't come back for a while. Like, but it's always taking the information that you have, making the right decision for the right reason, just like what you do. You know, I know you want to buy a $900,000 house, but maybe you should start at $300,000 instead, or like, you know, talking to a client about what they should list their home at, all sorts of stuff. It's all the same thing. We're all trying to make the right decision for the right reason and trying to get to the exact right outcome.
Bottom line. Now, talk to me. One of your passions is the Sussex County Land Trust. You
sit
on their board. Talk to me about this.
Yeah, so I've had an awareness of the Sussex County Land Trust for a while. I was approached by the then president of the board, Casey Kenton, who you probably know from the real estate community. You know, they were looking to kind of reposition the organization and the board and work into a growth phase. So we've been very, very fortunate to be able to strike up a relationship with Sussex County, where Sussex County has actually purchased some protected property, and through the relationship that we have with the county, they've leased it over to us, and we are putting it into conservation and we're managing it. So, you know, the best example I have of that is something that we just did out at Hopkins Preserve.
I saw that.
Yeah, so Hopkins Preserve is on the corner of basically at those four corners. So you're talking like Sweetbriar Dairy Farm and Route 9 right there, right by where the dairy farm is. On the north side, basically on the northwest side of Route 9 Walt had a bean farm there for years, and he's getting up in age, so he's putting his succession plan into action. So part of that was making sure that land was preserved. So he came to the Land Trust and said, this is what I want to do. Because it's Sussex County and because land is so expensive, we didn't exactly have the liquidity to do it, but the county said, you know, we have open space. You know, this is part of our initiative, is to preserve segments of Sussex County, to preserve the agricultural history, the architecture, and to preserve open space for the residents of Sussex County. So through that relationship, we've been able to, you know, put Hopkins Preserve into preservation, and we have a master plan that we're developing, you know, working with all the involved parties, working with the Hopkins family, working with the county, working with DelDOT to execute that master plan, to have it be accessible to the public. You know, all these different little micro ecosystems in there, have some walking trails, have some biking trails, and then of course the park is going to connect to the bike trail that goes from Lewis out to Georgetown.
That is awesome, man. Talk to me. Give me a quote that you live by.
Oh, a quote that I live by. All right, cool. I'm sorry. I got to go to my phone. I got to go to my phone for this one. It's longer, and I want to make sure that I don't mess it up. So, it is by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I was enamored with this quote when I was in college, and I was talking with someone last night, and I was like, you know, I need a quote for tomorrow. It's like, I have these three, and she's like, it's got to be that one. It's got to be the Emerson. So the quote says, "To laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded."
I love that.
Yeah, I do too.
I love
That's like, that's everything. You know what I mean? That kind of wraps it all in, you know?
right.
You don't like me? I don't really care. I know I'm doing the right thing for the right reason in my heart, and I'm going to keep doing it.
So you're marching to your own beat.
Yeah.
Question for you. Well, if there was a question
Yeah.
that you wish I would have asked, what would that be?
I don't know. I think you asked a lot of good questions. Maybe what's next, but I think, you know, I'm pretty clear and pretty transparent about what's next. You know, we're going to keep going. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep giving opportunities. You know, we're going to keep doing what we do, opening restaurants, giving jobs, supporting people, supporting the community. Maybe the other thing you could ask is, if you didn't live in Sussex, where would you live?
There you go. What would that be?
I have no idea. I don't want to live anywhere other than Sussex. But you know, I could never see myself being a city person. I love Philadelphia. Like my parents are both from suburban Philadelphia. That's kind of like, Philadelphia is where my heart is with sports teams. The Phillies, the Sixers, the Flyers, the Eagles. Like, that's where my heart is. I like going up there. I like being up there, but like, something about the city gives me a little bit of anxiety. And I like being down here. I like open. I like being able to breathe. I like being able to walk to the water, that kind of thing. I think if I wasn't here, I would probably be in a place probably outside of Charleston in South Carolina, someplace like that. Someplace that has, I really love history, man. I love history. And I love that, you know, when I take my kids biking through the state park, they always want to go up to Fort Miles. Like, they always want to go look at all the guns and everything that are on display up there. And every time they want me to talk through, like, where was this one? What was this one from? So, like, and one really cool thing that we've done is Fort Miles has that oil still bleeds display with the segment from the USS Arizona inside of Fort Miles right there. So we help sponsor that. We help give them money to get that piece here. So I kind of like being able to, that Fort Miles has World War II bookended. It has the piece from the USS Arizona that started it, and then the biggest gun that's on display there is from the USS Missouri, which is where Japan surrendered in the Pacific Theater. So like having World War II bookended like that is really cool. But that said, I also love the history that an area like Charleston holds. Obviously, the Civil War history, a much darker time in American history, but still history nonetheless. And you gotta learn from it, otherwise right. you're doomed to repeat it.
You do. And when you go down there, where do you stay?
I have so there's friends that I grew up with that have a home down there and welcome us up. Well, that welcome us down there. So there's a place called Isle of Palms. It's down there.
My family and I, we love my wife's family's from James Island.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Man.
Yep, yeah. They're
awesome.
right down there. They're right down. They're like right down the road from Fort Sumter.
Yeah, we go down once a year.
Yeah,
we love going out.
Yeah,
there.
it's beautiful.
And the history.
Yeah. I think one of the coolest things about being down on that part of the country, and specifically in that part of Charleston, one of the public libraries is in an old Civil War bunker. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, so if you go from where you get onto Isle of Palms all the way down to where Fort Sumter is, you go past this public library that's just like tucked into a bunker. It's kind of cool.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
What are you currently reading?
What am I currently reading? I have a bunch of stuff going. I just finished up a book called Wine and War, which talks about how the wine industry in France helped kind of swing the tide of World War II. It's really, really cool. I read that book in like 3 days. Like, I blew through it. And I'm also reading a book right now that's a little more informationally dense. It's about the Judgment of Paris, which is the 1976 competition where the California wines went in blind against French wines. So California Chardonnay, California Cab went in blind against Bordeaux and White Burgundy and won. And that's the competition. That's really the thing that put American wines on the world's map and gave them attention.
Man, this reading seems very strategic with what you do for a living.
Yeah. So I kind of like, I don't drink, but I still like to cultivate that side of my brain. You know, we have an amazing wine director. You know, we have 4 or 5 of our restaurants have had Wine Spectator awards for the last 5 years, and I like to be able to actively engage with him and talk with him about what his job is and what he does, and you know where he's going. So I read Wine Spectator every month, and I read a lot of trade stuff. I read a lot about what's going on in the restaurant world, in the business world, specifically as it relates to like supply chain stuff, as it relates to emerging technologies, as it relates to workforce conditions, worker attrition, everything like that. So basically just trying to stay up on industry trends and industry news.
powerlifting, how does that intertwine into your day-to-day?
So one of the things that we always talk to our teams about, our managers about, is like, you gotta be comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, as a leader, you gotta make hard decisions. You gotta look at something and be like, man, this is a tough decision, but this is the right decision, and I gotta make it, and I gotta execute it, and I gotta carry it through. So as you're training for something like a powerlifting competition, and the program that I follow in the run-up to a meet is 15 weeks. So over the course of those 15 weeks, you're putting your body through all these different cycles. Like, some weeks you're moving minimal amount of weight for a lot of volume. Some weeks you're moving a ton of weight for very low volume. But you're always pushing yourself. You're pushing yourself to that edge, finding where that edge is, exerting force on it to push it a little bit further, and then understanding when you need to fall back a little bit. And I think that translates really, really well into, leading a company that's our size. Like, there's times where I need to push, and there's times where I need to figure out how I can drive that edge and how I can drive that line further than it currently is. And there's times where I need to fall back and let the work that I've done kind of like percolate and let it come back through and then reassess. So, going through a training cycle like that, training for 15 weeks, working up to a very specific end goal is, it's a great metaphor for life. Like, you're always, now I don't have a specific end goal in my professional career, but it's like you go through the cycles. All right, I'm doing a lot of things, and I'm doing them, and I'm going to have my hand in them a little bit. All right, now I'm going to pull back. I'm going to dive into this one thing. I'm going to go way deep into this one thing. All right, now I'm going to pull back, and I'm going to see where it is. And it's kind of like, if you understand that cycle and the way that works from a non-professional setting, from a recreational setting, it's easy to take that and then apply it into a professional setting. And the other way that I look at it too is I try and subject myself personally and willfully to the hardest stuff that I'm going to do during the course of the day. Like, punishing your body like that, knowing that you're going to put your body under that much strain and that much stress for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, waking up and saying, you know what, this stuff is hard, it's brutal, I'm going to feel like crap, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like, so if I do that to myself, anything else that comes is like, whatever, that was easy. You know what I mean? Like, it's having that control and understanding that your mind is way stronger than anything else anybody could do to you. So, like, if I know, because of what I've done to myself physically and mentally in the gym, I can deal with anything else in professional setting, I'm good.
Drop the mic, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you.
Had a blast.
Yeah, me too. This is awesome. Thank you.